in Nepal under the COVID-19 status. We try to conduct this kind of virtual session by using the video in the mobile phone. We try to assess the solid waste management and disaster waste management in Nepal. This left hand up, this is the live, at that time live camera of the disposal site. And this track, yes. Oh, okay. Try to follow the track collecting waste in the town. So by using that kind of communication, we can conduct a virtual assessment in Asia and the Pacific, I think. And even for the disaster waste management, maybe the tool which I introduced today will help to conduct this kind of virtual one. And while we wait for Nawaraji-san, please watch this video as a sample of virtual assessment.
And the organic waste to them definitely would not have a good use. It used for some other purpose. And whatever the waste we collect here, they would be segregated and consider the recycling part and the transport for this. So the transportation part is a little difficult because this is a place just they had started 1 month ago. The private sector, they get this contract of doing the waste management this month ago, and just 1 month ago. So that's very small space to the segregation and do the management. So the stages here, please continue.
Higashi Sensei, ohayou gozaimasu.
You arrived to your
I arrived in my office. I'm very sorry.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, can you see my video?
Yeah. Can you turn on video?
Yeah, I'm from the, a different ID there. It's my office now. And as I told you, I will be joining in this mode. This is the hybrid mode. And my colleagues will also join me. Now we have a colleague here. And some of my colleagues will join from the, directly from the Zoom, from their home.
Okay.
So, but I'm here in my office. So I can hear you and then you can proceed.
Okay.
Okay. Excellent.
So thank you very much for sharing your precious time. And we'd like to start today's mission. As an links creative session 2, disaster waste management, developing a simulation-based training tool. Just before I commence the program, I'd like to introduce the participant. Coordinator is the Japan Society of Material Cycle and Waste Management. I'm Shintaro Higashi, Connectivity Data, Institute of Management Consultant. And we have a specialist from the society, Dr. Yuzuru Kushiyama and Kazutoshi Manabe-san. Kushiyama-san, can you turn on the video?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, we are joining from Tokyo. My name is Kushiyama and Manabe. Yes.
Yeah,
so thank you very much for this meeting.
Yeah. And the team of Kushiyama-san and Manabe-san developed the tool in Japan, and they will also develop this kind of tool for Asia and the Pacific. And today we have 3 participants from Asian countries. From Indonesia, Dr. Mariono, Diponegoro University. Good morning, Mariono-san. Your mic is mute.
Hello, good morning Indonesia time to everyone. My name is Mariano from Diponegoro University, Indonesia. Nice to meet you in this conference.
Yeah, thank you. And Mariano-san, is working for disaster waste management in Indonesia. Actually, he visited several sites attacked by earthquake and tsunami and something. And he specialized in some estimation of the disaster waste amount of disaster waste. Then he is working with Ministry of Environment Indonesia, Ministry of Environment and Forestry in Indonesia. The ministry are now preparing for official national guideline for disaster waste management, and he is supporting such actual guideline, official guideline. Thank you, Marino-san. And we have Dr. Nawaraji from Nepal. Nawaraji-san.
Yes.
Morning.
Good morning. Namaste. Ohayou gozaimasu.
Ohayou gozaimasu.
I'm sorry, I cannot tell the Indonesian greeting.
Selamat pagi.
Go ahead, Higai-san. Should I introduce myself?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning to all of you, and a wonderful ohayou gozaimasu to our Japanese colleague. And thank you so much, Yashi-san, for this wonderful opportunity. And my name is Navaraj Katriwara. As you see in the screen, Nihongo de Nawaraji. Nawaraji wa waraji to onaji. So that is my Japanese version, Nawaraji. And so as mentioned by Higashi-san, I'm currently working for Nepal Development Research Institute. And I do teach in the colleges and the universities, but my main affiliation is this institute. And this is a think tank institute, and we work on various development-related fields, including the environmental engineering and management, and solid waste management is one of the focus area. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Nawaraji-san. And before you arrive, we shared the video, the virtual assessment we conducted in March. Yeah, together with Nawaraji-san, we tried to conduct a kind of capacity building or awareness building for municipality level, because they have some issue for solid waste management and disaster waste management as well. So today's session might be help such kind of a kind of awareness building for municipality in Nepal. Thank you very much. We have Professor Tonet, Maria Antonia Tanchudin. Tonet-san, I pass the mic.
Ohayou gozaimasu. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much, Higashi-san, for organizing this and giving us the opportunity to be part of this very important development of the tool which you want to develop for our countries also. So I'm Tonet. I'm a professor at the Institute of Civil Engineering at the University of the Philippines. And I work mostly on solid waste management and, including plastic waste management and plastic leakage. And also we're also doing work on disaster waste management. Yeah.
Thank you very much. And Professor Tonet developed a comprehensive study regarding the disaster waste management in Philippines, around Metro Manila and Bohol or some other local city as well. Then I think she's one of the specialists for disaster waste management. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you.
Okay, and apart from the participant, you have some audience from private sector, public sector, from Philippines, Metro Manila, or some JICA, and Ministry of Environment Japan also watching this session. Thank you very much for sharing this, your precious time. Then, yes, we'd like to start the program. Then, firstly, I'd like to share the aim and the scope. To support the disaster waste management in Asia and the Pacific, the society, Japan Society, Material Cycle and the Waste Management would like to develop a simulation-based training tool. And this tool is based upon the experience in Japan, and we have to localize it to the Asian and the Pacific manner. And at the same time, the tool will inform you of the disaster waste management in Japan. And would like to consider the actual implementation of the tool and the network of disaster waste management in Asia. So in short, based upon a tool developed in Japan, I would like to consider a kind of tool or capacity building tool in Asia and the Pacific. Then the specialist in Asia would like to know, share this tool to you, and then hopefully you give us some comments about this tool. Then in addition, we'd like you to understand the current status of disaster waste management in Japan. Because if we are assuming that in Japan, soon or later, a huge disaster might happen in Japan. If that kind of a huge disaster happen, maybe Japanese government will ask support from Asian country or the Pacific countries. So in that, preparing for that, we would like your specialists to know how we Japan process the disaster waste management. Then finally, we'd like to discuss how we can set up kind of a network to share this kind of tool or some experience. For example, Mr. Mariano can share the experience in Indonesia based upon earthquake to some countries, and Mr. Professor Tonet can share the some experience for the disaster waste attack by typhoons or something. We'd like to set up this kind of international and the multi-purpose and multi-areas network inside Asia and the Pacific. So we'd like to know your comment or something. But mainly, we'd like to test and try the tool prepared in Japan. Before that, I'd like to introduce the status in disaster waste management in Japan and why we developed a tool. So this slide tried to describe the current status of Japan disaster waste management in Japan. So this line is a waste management line. So there is a waste management law, basic policy, some plan, and this level is the local government. So based upon the national law or policy, each municipality or local government should develop waste treatment plan, or municipalities treat waste treatment plan. And this blue one is a line of disaster management. So disaster waste management should be consider both waste management and disaster management. Then the red one is some guideline or some organization regarding disaster waste management. At the national level, we have a guideline for disaster waste management, and based upon this, each municipality should develop disaster waste treatment plan. Then once disaster happens, we will prepare a kind of implementation plan for the disaster waste management in a national level, prefecture level, and the municipality level. But I think this structure is almost same as Nepal, in Philippines, and Indonesia. But one challenge is some local governments don't have so much experience and resource to develop disaster waste management. So to support such kind of prefecture government or municipalities in Japan, there is a 47 prefecture government, and under that, the municipalities. And municipalities are in charge of disaster waste management. So a tool was developed to support such kind of local government to develop the disaster waste management plan. So this is in English. This is a tool itself, and sometimes the Ministry of Environment Japan hold a kind of this capacity building for local government to it's a kind of a training, and this training including this kind of simulation-based training. Yes, and this is a tools, and later we will try. At first, this is a vacant flow chart that tries to describe the basic flow of disaster waste management. And this is some kind of guidance. However, this box is vacant at first. Then there is a 23 lists at the right side. And there shows each actual activities for disaster waste management. And the user tried to fill this vacant box by applying specific action to the box. And by doing that, maybe the user can understand the specific activities and understand the procedure of disaster waste management. And today, we'd like to conduct to try this tool. And okay. Okay, so this is a tool itself. So maybe, for example, we can move this activity to this one like this. By doing that, we can make a kind of specific flow for the disaster waste management. And now, Waradi-san, Mario-san, and Tonet-san, I shared the specific actions, 23 actions before this session. Do you have any questions? For example, you cannot understand well about this action or something. If you have that, that's one, please share now.
Higashi-san, maybe, I'm pleased to introduce you one of my colleague here. He is a, practitioner. So could you please, Manoj, could you please move the camera towards him? Okay. So, Mr. Paranjay, could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Paranjay Paure. I'm a university graduate from Pakistan University as an environmental engineer. And, I've been interested in disaster management few times a while.
Okay, good. Thank you so much. And then I do have another colleague there. You can see on the she is Sandhina Srestha. She is also a graduate of environmental engineering and working in this field. So these are the young people, and maybe one or two will also join. So I'm sure that they will be together will be able to use this the tool which you have developed. Now, what I would like to request you is considering the, for example, in Japan, you have a very kind of high-tech system, everything. I mean, for example, you can control from, like the operations, you can control, you can see on the monitor and like that. But still, like you showed in the video before, we are still following the very, very kind of, ad hoc, and then maybe sometimes we are not high-tech also. You see, we all just do manually and like that. So I would like you to kindly, when you are talking about the facilities in Japan or the system in Japan, you also tell us what could be the, let's say the person in our place. Maybe I would consider the same thing to Indonesia or Philippines, but maybe they are advanced than our country, because of the economic development sort of thing. We're still practicing a very kind of traditional, I would say, the modalities or the traditional system in terms of collection, in terms of transport, in terms of segregation, and then sometimes we do not segregate also, which you have seen there. So my suggestion to you is, whenever you are describing something which is applied in Japan, please try to relate that to our place also, so that we can grasp. This is what I would like to do. Thank you, I guess.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, and as you mentioned, maybe regarding sorting or something, we should share the knowledge of Asian countries to localize the disaster waste management. Thank you very much for your comment before. And Marino-san, do you have any comments before we start this program?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Higashi. It is a nice opportunity that we can share each other about disaster waste management guideline and tools. And I think it is better when you continue for your presentation, and maybe we will have a question or comment after you explain and also maybe presentation. Thank you so much.
Okay, okay. Tonet-san, do you have any comments before we start actual program?
No, not
Okay.
right now. Maybe as you go along. But
Okay.
maybe in general, my question is, before we, because our objective is to make a localized version of the tool, is that correct? But before that, maybe for us, maybe in the Philippines or maybe for the other countries also, it would be good to also have other trainings like how to identify a temporary storage site, you know, more specific items like those, treatment of different kinds of waste. Although many of these would also fall under, you know, the general solid waste management. So maybe my more specific questions as we go along, if you will allow us to just comment.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much. And this tool might be a kind of ideal flow. And by conducting this program, maybe you can identify the missing point or some hole in your disaster waste management system. In other words, maybe you can find the challenge. Maybe in short, this flow is not so detailed. So maybe you try to apply this action to a specific flow. Maybe you can find this is a hole or challenge in your country. This kind is maybe a kind of assessment too. And this try to describe the ideal one, not the actual one. Okay, then okay, so I will operate this one, and maybe I will ask you which activity might be appropriate for each vacant boxes. Then this tool at first try users to conduct the this operation like this one without hint. But then at first time it may be very difficult. So after first time you tried without hint, but second time it shows a hint as well. So at first I tried to introduce the item highlighted by gray shadow. In this tool, this is based upon the experience in Japan. In the Japanese version, that flow including this gray one, but in this version, we omit this gray one because the gray one is a item. It's freezed. Regarding the this sometimes hygiene or some night soil or something. And Japan very put emphasis on this kind of for toilet or something. But in this tool for Asia countries, we omit this one. So at first we try to, we don't think about this one. So then this one, this color show the theme of the boxes. For example, this is the initial actions, and this is a cooperation. This is a planning and management, and this is a temporary storage site, and this is the cleaning and collection of the disaster waste. So at first, just after occurrence of disaster, what we should think, what we should conduct first. Can you find that one? I give you some hints, so I try to put some items to be considered at the initial phase?
12. Are we going to answer, or you will?
Yeah. Understand.
Maybe 12.
12.
Public relations.
ですね。Okay, so my hint is this 3,
Yeah.
9, 18, 8 is 3 actions should be
Okay.
considered just after the occurrence of disaster. One is confirming safety of staff members. Next one is establishment of the organization and management system. The third one is collection of damage information. Which one should be the first?
Confirming safety.
Yes, like this. Then which is first? Establish organization and management system or collection of damage information?
Establishment of organization.
Excellent. Yes. So by doing that, we can complete the actual procedure of disaster waste management. And Wanda-san, do you remember that we visited the Sulawesi, Palu? They said actually some people in charge of waste management also they are suffering from suffered from disaster, earthquake. Hello, Mariano-san.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah. So regarding the disaster waste management, at first we should set up the organization even before the collection of damage information. Sometimes we start the discussion about the estimation of disaster waste management or something, but firstly, we have to make sure the confirming the safety of staff members and the establish of organization and the management system. And okay, so we go to the next box. This one. Nagai-san, I saw you raising a hand.
Okay, Higashi-san, just on your, the first point, the establishment of the organization. I would just like to share you a few things. After the earthquake in Nepal, in 2014, so you know that we are out of 14 districts, we have 77 districts, and out of the 77 districts, 14 districts were damaged very severely, right? And so the point is regarding the establishment of organization and which would take care of the solid waste management. I would just like to share you. I attended, one project. It was from the government of India, but it was the project was executed by UNOPS. I think you know this organization, United Nations and UNOPS, UNOPS. So it was executed, and then they did, near to Gorkha. I mean, last time we made the program in Gorkha. Near to Gorkha, there is another district called Nuwapur. So they did, they supported to rehabilitate and rebuild the buildings. And then, and then solid waste management is also part of that. So what they did is, now, if you go to the community, if you go to the administrative unit, if you go to the municipality, what you will find is there is a committee already. And so this committee will be there. Once you have a disaster, and this committee will be activated further, So I would just like to say to you that we have a system that every municipality has got a committee, That committee is called, this is a disaster management related committee, which is, so the point is, it's already formed, it's already there. So the point is maybe what I would suggest is, if it is not there, you establish it. But if it is there already, maybe you have to, you have to make it very, kind of manageable, and you have to make it very active. Okay, because if the committee is already there, if the organization is already there, this is what I would like to say. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Okay. So by this tool, when you click the explanation on the each specific action, there comes the actual explanation. And the important thing might be sometimes, Mario-san, maybe we discussed in Indonesia, just after the earthquake, yes, the city government established a kind of a task force for disaster management. However, sometimes the waste sector was not included. So that might be a big issue. So I hope in Indian country, the first point is we ask the actual disaster management team to involve the waste management at the initial phase. This might be very important. And in order to involve the waste management sector in the disaster section, maybe we have to think about a kind of implement contingency plan before the disaster happens. So this try to show the importance of the security of the personnel. If you don't have enough resource, maybe you should think about some help to the other municipality or other prefecture or even national level. Then you try to set up the organization or management of disaster waste management at first stage. Maybe we should appoint one personnel who are in charge of the disaster waste management at initial phase. That might be very important. Even before we collect the damage information, it is very important to set up an organization first. This is a message of this initial action. And next, we go to the planning and management. So sorry, this horizontal line shows a timeline. The disaster happened and the time goes like from left to right. Then just after the disaster happened and the organization was set up, then we collect the damage information. In order to plan and manage the disaster waste management at large, what we should think about? There is a 4 step. And again, I will, this action, this can be moved up or down. So as a hint, I try to summarize this 4 action to the top of action. So please wait a minute. Yes, this process. So this 121, 419 is a activity that should go to this planning and management section. So can you, maybe really easy, what is first step of planning and management? Progress management, reporting result, formulation of plan, or estimating the amount of disaster waste.
Could you repeat that? Could you repeat that? Yes, son?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Navaraj-san, which one should be the first?
No, repeat the option because I cannot read here. It's a small font. So can you repeat the options?
Okay. First one is a progress management and process review. This kind of review.
Okay.
And, this one, reporting result.
Okay.
Then the formulation of implementation plan.
Okay.
Then estimating the amount of disaster waste?
I think I would go for formulation of an implementation plan.
This one first. Then
Oh, no, sorry. Maybe the estimating also can come first. I mean, estimating the disaster waste. Then only you will get an idea what will be the, your scope. I mean, how big the plan you have to make. I mean, let's say how big is the amount of resource you would like to have. So maybe estimating, I would go for that first. Estimating the disaster waste. Yes.
Okay. Yes. Yes, you're correct. And at first, based upon the damage, we should estimate the amount of disaster waste first. And based upon that, we should formulate an implementation plan. Then, of course, progress and the management process review. Then, at last, we make a report of a result. Then, maybe the difficulty is, yes, it is very difficult for some Asian countries to estimate the amount of disaster waste. And even if it is very difficult to estimate the amount of disaster waste, it is very difficult also to assess the progress also. So one thing might be, we should think about some easy calculation method or some formula for estimating the amount of disaster waste. Then sometimes just reporting is, they are working on the ground and they forgot to reporting this result. But this is very important as a preparedness for next disasters. So in this box, the 4 box, we try to explain the basic flow of planning and management. And the basic one might be estimating the amount of disaster waste. Arino-san, maybe you are working on estimating the amount of disaster waste. So can you add something about the importance of estimating the amount of disaster waste?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity for me, Mr. Hikashi. Firstly, I would like to say thank you so much that we are discussing about the disaster waste management flow, and that this is also important for my country. Number 2, we informed that in Indonesia now we are established the formal disaster waste management guideline. It is mandatory by Indonesia law and also Indonesia government law for performing the disaster waste management. Number 3, we now develop the detail of guideline, and because it is a formal guideline, so it is very significant. And for this moment, maybe I just look and waiting for the process in Indonesia. After the formal guideline issued, maybe we can, we can socialization and give an information according to the Indonesia side. Next, concerning to the previously statement, when we are trying to make a guideline and also making to the, to the process, especially for disaster waste management, for the flow chart that showing in this conference, in this meeting, it is very good and very nice, and it is very clear because I discussed with Mr. Hikashi long time, starting from 1980, I think, maybe 4 years ago. Every year we are meet. I understand this flow, and I give applause for this a great achievement. However, as previously I stated, that it is about the formal execution it is related to the how we provide financial scheme, especially for a disaster when disaster happen. So it is in according to my country, it is belong to the how real and actual formal guideline that will be issued. After that, we can we can adjust and we can cooperate what kind of detail flow chart like this. Before our government issued the formal guideline, it is a guideline like UN OCHA guideline and also like Japan guideline previously that we study a lot about that. But to internalize in the perspective of real management, in Indonesia case, I should waiting because in this time, I am also give information that in Indonesia side is no, we are running a marathon workshop to fulfill the requirement, and maybe estimation in, I don't know, the target is in April, but I don't know what the timeline is fulfilled or it is still extended. And according to this flow chart, as I understanding, it is very good flow chart, very nice flow chart. And maybe after in Indonesia side, the government issued the formal guideline, maybe we can internalize this flow chart and also this system. I very clear to understand this flow chart, Kasih. This is very good flow chart and very good chart and also very good step by step for running a disaster waste management in before, or like you said before, how we make and running a contingency plan, etc. And after disaster, or we call post disaster, and we running disaster waste management system, starting with the cooperation, starting with the management and planning, or maybe it is according to your previously stated that the arrow is about timeline, and it is a good after we have information about the damage and amount of disaster waste, maybe we running in the in the same time maybe about how we running and manage and also perform about cooperation between stakeholder, and how we try to manage about step by step all of planning, and how we try to choose the temporary site, and how we collect and clean about the disaster waste side by side. It is a timeline, and also it is maybe running with the same time. Maybe it is I can see, and it is very good flow chart.
Thank you very much. Okay, let's complete that, and I will ask to Toneta-san and Nawaradi-san about your impression. So, Pano-san, thank you very much. And at first, we try to finalize this one. And okay, then next one, we will go to the temporary storage site. Maybe at this point we have so many topics to discuss.
Oh yeah, excuse me, one again. Excuse me, introduce me to add some comment, Ikasan.
Yeah.
Okay. According to my view, I'm sorry, I forget. I did not look about how you try to finalize this service. We call final treatment and final process. I not yet look. What do you think about this one, and how we should think about this one? You try to understand about temporary site, and you try to collect the temporary site, maybe site selection for temporary site. But treatment and disposal, it is number 20. You already give it, but in the flowchart, we not yet show in your flowchart.
Treatment disposal.
Yeah. I know. This is you in Japan side. I think treatment and disposal is
of course.
Very good maybe, but in this flowchart that you have shown me, you're not yet adding the how to say the kind of how you try to combine, because in this chart you just showing about selection of temporary storage and temporary site. Yeah, but in the final treatment this is maybe we must sorting this one in Indonesia side, Indonesia case, yeah. But informally, what kind of I cannot say before, but to internalize in Indonesia side, we must thinking about the treatment and disposal. It is not about treatment and disposal only, yeah, but it is also about the selection of location.
Yeah, actually, still this action is based upon experience in Japan. So there might be some discussion between the gap between to be and as is, ideal one and the actual one. So at first, I try to fill this chart. Then regarding the temporary storage site, there is a 3 action. One is a restoration and the return of the temporary storage site. The second one is securing and operating temporary storage site. The third one is a candidate, the site selection for temporary storage site. I think it's very easy. So at first, yes, of course, we have to candidate the site. Then secondly, we have to secure and open and operate the storage site. And finally, we restore and the return of the temporary storage site. This is a kind of a site selection for temporary storage site. And this, the vacant flow, try to show the actual flow of disaster waste management. And so this 4 is action to be applied to this vacant box. The first one is treatment and disposal. Second one is a collect and transfer disaster waste to temporary storage site. And the next one is demolition and cleanup of damaged houses, etc. And 10th, next one is treatment and segregation. And 12 is public relation to residents. So Tonet-san, which one should we go first?
So this time I think public relation.
Yeah.
That's the first. And then demolition and clean up. Yeah.
Demolition, clean up.
And then collect and transfer. But I'm not sure if it's in this main box or
for example.
There, yeah. And then treatment and segregation up in the pink box, yeah. And then treatment and disposal.
Okay. Actually, I have to explain the difference of these 2 things. This might be some confusing point. It can't be. Oh, sorry. So demolition and cleanup. This is a work conducted by public sector. Then this one, collection and transfer to disaster waste is a kind of activity conducted by each person. So in Japan, at first we have public relation. For example, in this affected area, please carry this waste to that point. Then on only Monday, Wednesday, Friday or something. This kind of information will be publicized. Then the people try to carry, for example, broken electronical appliances, refrigerator, television or something to the temporary site by themselves. And after that, the public sector will go to some broken houses or something, then they try to demolish. So in Japan, at first we transfer this one, then demolish the houses. Sorry, I cannot move on this one. So anyway, so this kind of waste in the houses that will go to the temporary storage site. And there might be treatment and segregation. Then after segregation, they will go to the final treatment or disposal. This might be an ideal way. But however, I think sometimes the segregation or treatment will be conducted at the ground in Asian countries, something. So maybe these action might be a point of discussion. But I think generally this flow will be acceptable at large. Then the rest of two is cooperation with private sector. Yes, is a cooperation, and networking with national, prefectural, and local government will go to this one. Then finally, we can complete it, the disaster waste management flow. Just after the occurrence of disaster, we have to secure the personnel and set up the organization and collect the damage data. Then we start cooperation with private sector and the government, national government and public relation. Then start actual operation. And for example, yes, there are some actual guidelines in the world, like guidelines of from Ministry of Environment Japan also and UN OCHA also they have, but for the officers on the ground, they don't know the procedure well. But by doing this one, maybe they can easily understand the actual procedure and the activities. Then after understand this kind of procedure, maybe they can go inside for each specific action, how they can estimate the amount of disaster waste and how they can candidate the TSS, temporary storage site, how they can sort one. Then the shadow, the action, the remaining action is, I will explain later, specifically for Japan manner. So maybe we will meet this one and using 17 actions and this flow. Then after applying that activity, we can go to the check the answers. Then that's show the score. These two might be to vice versa. Then second challenge, the action will be colored in accordance with the specific action. So in cooperation, you can see just this two one. And the initial action, you can see choose from these three one. So it is very a little bit easier than the first phase for the users. So at first stage in Japan, the average point might be less than 50%. But after some considering, then the second time, the score will be improved. So this is an explanation of this tool. Then I will share the URL. This is a program operated by the internet. You don't have to download any application or something. I will share the URL and the password. Maybe you can ask your students to test this. And if you have some comments, then please give us some comments for that. Okay, then I hope you to give some comment. For example, especially if you have some expression that this might be not applicable to Asia, or we should add some point. Would you kindly give some comments? How about Nawaraji-san? You are raising hand.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was just on the, the point that estimation of the disaster waste, right? I would just like to know, for example, what we feel here is we have, different types of houses. Sometimes you have, single story, then you have maybe multi-story, multi-story also maybe 2-3 story or, 5-10 story, right? And in your case, but you have a very high-rise building also. Now the point is, and then we have other buildings like you have school building, you have hospital, maybe you have a community building, and so on. Maybe you have like other structures, in the. So if in case of earthquake, so everything will be, demolished. And then, so while estimating the template, for example, because what you know is maybe number of houses, and you know the location. Let's say the location A, and then there are maybe 200 house, totally damaged. Let's say. So you have that information, and from that, do you have any kind of template? Like for example, you quickly refer to that, and then you have 200 houses, maybe 50% of the houses single story, and 50% of houses maybe double story or triple story, and then so you estimate that if you have a house, let's say the concrete house, and then concrete and brick and like that. So if you have that much, your waste will be one house single story. Maybe your waste is maybe you have concrete this many ton, okay, and then maybe you have, let's say, wooden material this many ton. So and so that is one. And for let us say if you have this waste, maybe you need this many number of trucks or the vehicle to transport. So this sort of guideline or the template, do you have any sort of such practice in Japan? I would just like to know that.
Thank you very much. Kushiyama-san, suddenly, I'm sorry for suddenly call you. Do you have any answer? Especially how in Japan, how we can estimate the amount of disaster waste?
So thank you very much for the comment from Nawaraji-san. So you are asking about the kind of database or kind of template for the for estimation of disaster waste based on various type of buildings. So in Japan, so some unit volume for each type of buildings, especially wooden type building or SRC, steel type concrete, steel and concrete type buildings. So in Japan, we have some database for each type of buildings, but maybe there are other type of building in Nepal or some other Asian countries, for example, bricks or some other materials. So we maybe those database should be archived for each country. So just a comment. So for future issue, is it okay for your comment?
Yes, that is fine. But my point is, are you already practicing in Japan, for example? Maybe some do you already have such template? For example, if you have, let's say, 20-story building, if it is made of your still structured, and then you, I mean, if in case of, you know, this collapse, you will generate this quantity of waste. Do you have such a template or the, let's say, thumb rule already established? That was my question.
So template, so I guess template means table for each materials. Or,
Yes, yes, yes.
yes. So is this presentation sheet is shown from Higashi-san?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. So yeah, maybe you can see the example table for so unit rate for one building or one make one building in a row number 1. So this is the case of the past event of earthquake in Japan. So, but these numbers, numerical numbers, are based on Japanese case. So, but if we have, if we try to study new numbers for each type of buildings in your country, so we can establish a new table or new template for your countries.
Okay. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
And now, Nawaraj-san, actually, Nepal, we have a data. This is conducted by Lead Nepal.
Okay.
Then, for example, RCC frame structure building will, if they are collapsed, that might be 300 tons per building, for example. And load, yeah, this kind of information. But in Nepal, they try to find, and maybe we can share this kind of figure with some formula. Then, but actually, we try to, as you mentioned, this kind of data is very essential for disaster waste management, estimating the amount of the disaster waste. And this is an example in Japan, and this is in Nepal, and this is in the Fiji or something. Then we try to collect this kind of data, and maybe some specialists from Japan will try to give some formula with this kind of intensity of disaster waste by type of building. Okay, so but in this website, we try to archive the studies so far. So I will share this link to you later. Okay, we'll go back to this one. And Toneto-san, do you have any comment?
Yes. Yeah, I'd like to ask. Yeah, I have some comments, but my question first regarding the estimation of disaster waste. Do you use aerial images like now in Japan to estimate the, like you fly drones and from the images you estimate the amount of waste? Do you do that?
Maybe asking about to me. So
yeah.
Thank you very much for the comment, Professor Tone. So actually, I belong to remote sensing. Maybe you know remote sensing technology. So I belong to a remote sensing technology center of Japan. So especially in Japanese case, in Japan case, so some agency try the conduct plane flying to obtain the picture
image
just after event of disaster. So in those cases, so we some public sector or some public agency can obtain or download from the site of the agency, and they monitor. They can monitor the situation after the disaster event. That is the Japanese case. But I guess you are asking about the international or overseas case. So in overseas, so some other, for example, some public space agency, for example, NASA or European Space Agency can provide some free data of satellite image. Those public space agency upload to the platform, upload the free image to platform to share in some local agency who that operate that manage disaster waste management. So, but maybe those operator cannot understand to handle those images. So I think those technology should be transferred to the such kind of to your countries, to Asian countries. This is just comment in my mind. Is that okay?
Yes, thank you. But aside from the satellite images, which is more, complex and even difficult to obtain, so maybe just a simple drone can some aerial photographs, yeah. And just to share with you, the Philippines has just established a Philippine Space Agency, and so which reminds me, maybe I'll discuss with them to include this in the one of the tasks that they can do, in terms of this DRRM, and also as for future preparation. I think in the Philippines we should start developing the tools, the templates that you show, the table, like for every building that has been damaged, for what type of building, what is the estimated disaster waste that can be produced. And of course, depends on the disaster. We have done a few studies regarding estimation of disaster waste if there is flooding, and like I think from your template you have like if the inundation is up to the first floor or 1 story, so there is an estimate. So I think we have to continue doing that, as preparation to be able to have good estimates of disaster waste once disaster happens. Okay, so my other comments, actually a question. If we're going to apply this, or in Japan experience, in treatment and disposal, you have equipment, like I saw shredding, or maybe you have sorting equipment. During ordinary times, what's the use of this equipment? Are these being used for the normal waste? When there is no disaster, what's the use? Are they just lying idle? That's my question. Because for sure, this is a huge investment, and so we want to use it even during ordinary time. So maybe that's also our major problem. I would always say that to prepare well for disaster waste, we have to have a good solid waste management for normal waste. And so this is another justification to invest in this equipment. And maybe the same question regarding temporary storage sites. During the times when there is no disaster, what are these spaces? Maybe just open spaces, right? That keep them open. And then, the main difference in the Higashi-san was explaining earlier that in Japan, people are instructed to put out their waste, let's say appliances or big debris, and bring them to the temporary storage site. So here in the Philippines, we do not do that. Not everyone, very few people have access to bigger vehicles. So it's really the public works who clear the area for those that are blocking the roads. But for the other waste, it's just the municipal solid waste system. So it's not the participation of the private sector in clearing or bringing the debris to a common site is very, very limited. And then lastly, for the first step that we have to do, ensuring, like checking on the safety of our members, maybe we should include also and their families, because I know the member itself, the staff member itself can be safe and able to work, but if someone is affected in the family, that would also be a reason for them not to report to work. So I think that's a minor thing that we can include in the ensuring safety of members. So that's all for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. トネットさん、now we develop this kind of archive in the Japan Society of Material Cycle and Waste Management, and here is a technical reference. And regarding TSS, for example, there is this kind of slide.
Okay.
And there is some guideline how we can choose TSS temporary storage site and which kind of place will be appropriate. So maybe you can refer to these kind of guidelines or some slides. But for example, there is some kind of a Q&A session, something about which land is appropriate for TSS, small park or parking lot or disaster affected rice paddy or some spaces of this one. And this is very practical material, how to choose and how to identify the temporary storage site. And regarding the Kushiyama-san and Manabe-san, can you reply? What is the use of sorting and the treatment machinery in the normal time?
Kia-san, could you repeat the or comment for
when in Japan we utilize this kind of heavy equipment and facilities for disaster waste management, and what is the use of this kind of machinery in the normal time?
I can catch the last one.
Ordinary time.
Ordinary time.
Because the procurement of this kind of facility is very heavy, so she would like to know what the use of this kind of machinery facilities in the normal time, ordinary time.
Yes. So, ちょっとごめんなさい。Sorry. 日本語で言ってもらっていいですか？
こういう設備って通常時は何に使ってるんですか？
通常時は何に使ってるってことですね。Sorry, I need to discuss with Manabe-san.
下、
じゃあ、一旦オフにしてもらって、はい。
LINE とかは、もうそのために作ったって感じですね。大規模災害の時は作ったって感じですね。上のああいう機械は、あれ、振る機械なんですけど、受注生産なんですよ。だから作った。だから普段からあるものを使ってるんじゃなくて、大体新たに作って、東日本の場合は作ったって感じですね。
So in the case of East Japan earthquake, they order made it, procured for this purpose only.
Yeah. Okay. If I may I have a follow-up question? Yeah. After the earthquake, the Great Eastern Earthquake, so I was able to visit, and just in one site, I saw 6 incinerators. So how are they being used now?
Now.
Yeah.
I need to discuss with that.
Okay.
Sorry. So, so most of part of the segregation machine is broken というか、その
dismantle.
dismantle. And some small part can be recycled or reused for the other purpose or other activity. For example, some motor or some belt or those parts can be reused for the other activities, but most of part cannot be reused.
Okay.
Based on his experience.
I think
Thank you.
We should consider the point, Professor Tonet, because of some developing country, it is very difficult to procure such kind of equipment just immediately after the disaster. So the actual option might be carry that to the final disposal site. So maybe we should think about some kind of traditional method. This Japan experience is an ideal one, but we should think about the actual and practical method, how we can dispose such huge amount of disaster. Currently, yes, and depend on, I think based upon your presentation before, Toneto-san, the only way to dispose waste is just carry that to the final disposal site.
Correct.
Okay, so Manabe-san saying about 2 comments. So one is the, of course, so Japanese government or municipality has some budget for this disaster waste activities. And second comment, so in Japan, there is some market for trading some a machine or parts that can be used for the disaster management in the ordinary activity in each town or each city. So these parts can be traded in each in the market. These 2 comments is different situation. Yeah, just comment.
Thank you.
I think in that sense, here is a cooperation with private sector. So
excuse me. Yeah, thank you very much. It is very nice about information from step by step in disaster risk management, but I'm sorry I introduced this meeting because it is very interesting. Could you tell me, maybe Hikashi-san or Mr. Kusiyama and team? It is very nice. I look about the treatment and disposal because it is important things in my country, especially Indonesia side. And your technology, I show your picture is very nice and very, I think it is very high technology to treatment disaster waste. Could you share maybe a little bit detail how much money that maybe it is needed or invest to running maybe 100 tons or etc. In disaster risk management?
Ryo-san, you mentioned the cost for hard infrastructure.
Yeah. According to your slide, maybe in the last slide you show about treatment and disposal, Higashisa. It is very nice. You set up about the infrastructure, hard infrastructure, I think. Many equipment you install. Yeah. No. Previous one. Treatment and disposal. Yeah, I think treatment is and this one. Now, I think this is a high level of disaster waste treatment. I think in my perspective, it is consists of many machine or infrastructure that set up in this location. Can you tell me a little bit detail for this one?
串山さん、真鍋さん、費用感の目安ってありますかね？
真鍋さん's answer is $500 per ton.
Okay, Higashisa-san, to understand, because this is very interesting for me, can you write that in the meeting chat?
Sorry, wait.
Yeah, it is okay. How many the cost for this one? Okay, while Mr. Kusiyama write the, oh yeah, okay.
I need to ask for what the cost for what. So I need to discuss in Japanese. これ何？処理費用、マシンも入ってる。マシンも入ってる。This cost includes operation, the machine, and purchasing machine, and establish location. Include all, and the cost $500 per ton in Japan. But very.
Okay, I read in this chat.
What's the minimum all labor, fuel?
Well, I mean, I think it is also for operator, for handling machine, mobilization machine, and set up the machine. I think all for that.
Yes, but this case doesn't include. Wait for the discussing Japanese. Doesn't include あれバーニング焼却ってなんだっけ？
インシネレーション。
Doesn't include.
This is not include for the incineration?
Yeah. Doesn't include incineration.
How about the location and land? Did it is you rent the land or you use the government land for this one?
ランドは土地の借りる費用。
土地の借りる費用入ってる。
Include land rental fee.
Oh, include land rental.
災害受けた土地やけあまりお金かかんない。被災地内に作る。
He saying they can obtain cooperation from the municipality to rent the location.
Yeah.
For the temporary site. So in most cases, the cost to rent land very cheap or low. But
Okay.
this is rough cost estimation. Rough.
Yeah. Estimation, I know. I mean, cost estimation.
Yeah. いいかな？いいですか？
Hi, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much. It's very nice information.
Thank you for the comment.
Yeah.
And I think thank you very much for comment of Marino-san and Tonet-san, Professor Tonet. And I think this kind of collaboration with private sector is very important, even before the disaster happened. Who can make this kind of structure, and maybe incinerator is not practical way in the Asian countries. So maybe you should think about some final disposal site with storage site, or we should consider another option for treatment and disposal. And maybe we will include some private sector like construction companies or something. And we should collect the information beforehand. Thank you. And Marino-san, do you have any comments?
Yeah, I stressing this item and this issue because according to our experience in Palu, in Lombok, and in Sunda Strait, the final disposal system is very crucial issue in our site. It is also a significant issue and principal issue in disaster risk management in our site, Ikasi-san. And for it is just still a drafting that we try to handling a disaster risk management from the end. When we are handling waste in peacetime, we are starting from the household, I think. How we reduce, and then how we collect, and then how we transfer and transport. But in the concept of our guidelines, it is maybe information for this meeting. Our concept is try to think deeply how we estimate total ton of disaster waste that generated, and then how we try to thinking this and where we are try to handling and treatment for this one. And after that, after we thinking the location, because this is in our site, and then after that we go back how we are running a pre-treatment and how we are running collection and sorting. Because previously in Indonesia side especially, we are already have a national government that it is a macro of guideline, and we must follow the macro guideline. However, according to the slide, or according to the step-by-step in disaster waste management that you are showing to us today, it is very nice and it is very important too. However, if our minister already approval, we will try to adjust and maybe modify a little according to the flowchart, because we are thinking from the back, not from the front. From the back, in my opinion, is from the back in the minister guideline means that we're thinking about final treatment. It is like a secret investigation. We are not to publish it because we are also try to encourage about the recycling and also about the pre-treatment process. But we are must thinking it because it is very costly and it is a need a huge of money how we treat in the final process. Yeah, it is like a secret investigation. And in the initial action for the Minister of in Indonesia side, it is the initial action is survey. Because survey is very important. You put it in the information of the image. In I show it is this one, number 1, 2, 3. Yeah, but in this our guideline is the first thing is survey. According to the Mr. Kushiyama said before that he belong to the how to say remote sensing board, and also about the mapping. It is very significant in the in my how to say in my concept of disaster-based guideline. So the first thing is according to the previously said from the Mr. Kushiyama that building code, land use, etc., etc. It is very important thing how we estimate disaster when disaster happen. Yeah, jadi survey is a crucial item in my perspective and in the draft of Minister Guideline in Indonesia, Higashisa. Thank you so much. I already shared about the critical thinking in Indonesia side. The first one is about the final disposal and final treatment, because we need the land, we need the infrastructure. And as you know, that in a delay event and in a peacetime, the final treatment landfill site, it is a big problem in developing countries overall. The first thing that we must thinking in developing countries is you must treat the disaster waste separate from the peacetime, and you must forbidden that the disaster waste throw to the landfill site. Yeah, this is the first thing in maybe I don't know in Indonesia or maybe in other countries that use landfill site for delay waste management. Yeah, and the second one is how you as soon as possible estimate how much disaster that you have and you must treat. It is important thing. And after that, you maybe try to make initial for cooperation and etc. And according to the how to say, according to the Indonesia rule, the disaster waste management divided by three cooperation type. For the national disaster, we can cooperate in a national level. For the disaster that it is province scale, we cooperate in a province or prefecture scheme. When the disaster is state as a local disaster, we coordinate in a local scheme for disaster waste management handling. Yeah, I just share about the Indonesia condition. Maybe in another country or in another. Yeah, we already share about 3 things that's according to the draft of Indonesia side. Thank you.
Very much. Now, as you mentioned, the estimation, at first, the final disposal.
Yeah, the first one is estimation of, the first one is estimation of disaster waste generated, and then we are GoGem for the final treatment. Yeah, we not publish it because it is some kind of a secret report. It is only for the official, not for public. Because when we are share for public, maybe many people like your slide here, collection and cleaning system, then they are throw away to as soon as possible to go to the landfill site. No, we also try to avoid this condition, but we must thinking a good gem to that, and step by step we also try to cleaning, collection, and how to say, as much as possible we try to use again about material and also any kind of disaster that may be used for rehab and reconstruction.
Okay, this might be the point of discussion. Further point, how we define or how we can show best practice of final disposal or disposal. And
yeah, because
not only the issue of disaster waste management, but if we think about solid waste management in ordinary time, this might be a big issue. How we can, what is a practical and the ideal method of final disposal in Asia and the Pacific?
According to my experience, because we only have maximum 3 years to handling disaster waste, in a normal time. 3 years is not so enough time when we are attacked, when we get the huge disaster like maybe tsunami in Indonesia, or maybe like Fukushima event in Japan, many tons of disaster, and we just have a 3 years, and most of them we are late. We are need more than 3 years to treat this one. Yeah, this is my my understanding. And also in Indonesia, we are not enough time. Usually rehabilitation and reconstruction just 3 years. Just 3 years according to the rehabilitation and reconstruction plan in a disaster management overall. Yeah, and this is
we should
my
think
comment.
about the timeline schedule, the long term management.
According to your arrow in the gray line of time, you show me this is the arrow from the gray line. It is, you say about timeline, and we must thinking that it is only 3 years, and 3 years is not so much time when we are thinking about the disaster waste, because the disaster waste, if as long as I understanding, is it is not only from the in Indonesia side, it is not only for waste that generated post disaster, but it is also waste generated by any material, any construction step for the rehabilitation and reconstruction, especially when we are rehab and recon about the human settlement. Many ton of construction waste from the house that it is also generated, and it is part of disaster waste, I think.
Okay, that kind of the long term and the period of project might be very important.
Yeah. We must thinking that it is 3 years. It is enough for 3 years or not? Because usually in the normal time we only have 3 years for the disaster waste management in overall.
Okay, thank you for the comment. Maybe this might be a further point for consideration.
Yeah, but I should make a stressing your step, your flow chart, your step by step. It is very nice and very sketching. Maybe many people that it is new in a disaster waste management, they can easily understanding what kind of disaster waste management. Yeah.
Positive comment. Maybe we should translate that into the Bahasa Indonesian as well. Okay, how about, do you have any comment, Nawaraji-san?
Thank you, Higashi-san, for this. I think on the selection of let's say the temporary disposal sites, right? And then let's say the selection of the route to reach there, the site. I think what we experience here in Nepal is we have, if you are not aware, that we have 3 types of geographical regions. On the northern side we have the mountain, which is mostly covered by the snow, right? And lower to that is the hilly region, okay, where in the high altitudes, you get snow once in a year. And then down there, we have got these small hills. And then further down is your plain area, which is bordering to India in the south. So the point is, if you have a plain area, I think it's relatively easy to choose a site because you don't have to make the site to put the waste. And then the route also, the road, for example, temporary road, you can quickly make, okay, in the plain area. But if you are talking about the hilly area or the mountainous area, it is very difficult to make the, landfill, let's say the temporary site, as well as the route, to reach there. Because the point is, if in the case of earthquake, for example, a situation comes where neither you can move nor you can take the vehicle because there is no road. Road is also gone, your building is collapsed, and then so the point is you cannot move. It's very difficult to move. So that's why I think the strategy for this is, you have to make a different strategy, and maybe you have to quickly identify what are the, let's say, the places which are not destroyed. For example, your school playground or community center and like that. So that's why the point is, I think the selection of site is very, very, very important. And then you really need to put good efforts in doing that if it is, let's say, the mountainous or the hilly area. Thank you, Raisan. I would just like to make this comment.
Yeah, actually, we visited Nepal and we found that the land is very limited, so it's very difficult to secure enough space for the temporary storage site. So maybe we should think about the decentralized temporary storage site or something. But thank you very much for the comment. Okay, so regarding this tool, we would like to improve this a kind of beta version. So we based on with discussion with you specialists in Asia, we have to improve this one more and more. Thank you very much, and we go on to the next topic. So yes, so we conducted this tool, and I'd like to explain this action covered by the shadow. This is a specific action we are putting importance in Japan. Kushiyama-san, do you have any comments about why we put the emphasis on 3R, hazardous waste and hygiene in terms of disaster waste management? Okay. I'd like the reason why in Japanese version, we put this action, installation of temporary toilet and the closure of evacuation centers, evacuation centers topic, the toilet. We put the emphasis on 3R, hazardous waste and hygiene, even in the disaster waste management in Japan. But for the future collaboration of Asia and Japan, and I'd like you to understand why we put the emphasis on this kind of management in the disaster waste management. For example, land limitation, we don't have enough space for disposing waste, so we try to reuse, recycle, and we put the emphasis on 3R, reduce, reuse, and recycle. And even the earthquake, the Great East Japan earthquake, we recycle. The 3R ratio is almost 80% of material waste are recycled. But that's the reason is our land is very limited, so we have to reduce the amount of final disposal as much as possible. And yes, in Japan, after the urbanization, population density is very high and land is very limited. So we have to consider the care of the hazardous waste and hygiene as well. So that's the reason we put emphasis on these items. But then we omit these items for the flow chart in your countries. But sooner or later, your country will be urbanized and maybe have also same issue, challenges in terms of the waste management. So I'd like you to bear in mind that there might be some importance of this kind of 3R hazardous waste and hygiene in the future. And in case of a huge disaster in Japan, if a huge earthquake hit Japan, Tokyo, for example, the damage will be tremendous. Then maybe Japanese government will think about asking Asian country to support Japan, and that might be include disaster waste management. Then hopefully such an Asian countries will dispatch some mission to Japan to support disaster management and including disaster waste management. So I hope someone like you know much about disaster waste management in Japan, and they guide the mission to the disaster waste management in Japan as well. So that's the reason we leave this gray action highlighted in gray. So that's a message from us. Please understand why we omit this action and what's the meaning of these actions. So the final point, the networking. And this tool is, I think, this is a kind of example of collaboration between the Asia and the Pacific. For example, when we think about the disaster waste management, there are stakeholders in the several levels: global, regional, country, local, and the field. For example, this one, the disaster section, academia like you, and the municipal solid waste, and the private sector. In the same in various levels, there is some actors, stakeholders. Then we should networking these kind of stakeholders, because as we discussed, yes, for the disposal, we need the help of private sectors. Maybe the local government should collaborate with the country level. And if the disaster is very huge, we have to cooperate with the regional level, Asian level, or even the global level. Then we should think about such kind of stakeholders. And I think this tool will be some kind of not only that the tools was on the ground, but this tool might be a kind of good practice for this kind of disaster waste management stakeholders. Then my last point is who will use this kind of tool in terms of training or trainers. For example, in Indonesia, I hope Mario-san will be a kind of, so in a sense, in the country level, you are here in academia, and maybe you try to conduct capacity building, conduct awareness building towards various sectors in the country level or local government level. And even you should collaborate with, like today's session, Asian specialists. And Mario-san, so how we can utilize this tool to disaster waste management?
Yeah, thank you very much. It is very nice question, Hikashi-san. As previously I said that firstly, I am appreciate that the Japanese government, especially MOIG, is supporting for East Asia countries that overall is for concern to the environment and especially concern to the disaster waste management. My principal comment is the first one is that to making the network is resilience, and it is part of the thinking of the disaster handling. We must understand the regional and country condition. For example, in Indonesia, and maybe we have a new friend from Professor Tonet from the Philippines, and also we have a new friend maybe from the Nepal and etc. in our country, and overall in East Asia country, is that we must understand how the condition in each country. Number two, as long as I understanding, in my opinion, is in each country they have own regulation, and maybe they have own system for disaster handling, disaster management, and especially for disaster waste management, maybe in each country. And we must sort understand for that. Number two, now next, your tools, blah, 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 etc. is very good, but sometimes they must localize as a theme for this meeting. You must localize it. And maybe sometime you must adjust and modify. Maybe in Indonesia, maybe will be different how execute your flowchart in Philippines. And maybe it is also modified in Nepal, and maybe also modified in Vietnam, in Thailand, in Malaya, etc. The first thing and the important thing is that we are running a communication like this each year. Maybe I don't know how, but the first thing, the first important is at least 1 year we must at least we must have a meeting, because from this meeting we can share each other. What is the problem in Philippines? What is the problem in other country? And especially what is problem in my country? And communication each other is very important. And I think it is part of how we build about the networking itself, and how we localize this guideline. I'm very sorry. I should say that I think we make a wrong if we think that we can localize this flowchart maybe 1 year, 3 years. I'm sorry. I should say we are not a good start. But the first thing that we must understand is how we communicate each other, and how we understand what is the problem about this flowchart. It is suitable for the country on how. And the important thing is we try to collect how it is nice and how it is suitable in Philippines, maybe, and how it is suitable in Indonesia. Maybe when we have 10 networking, we have 10 flowchart. It is nice. I think, because each country they have own regulation. Because finally, when we are thinking about disaster waste management, is we must make each country they can do for the disaster handling by in their own way. But we share each other and we help each other. I think it is my overall comment, and it is how to say, I'm so sorry that I say this is a principal comment for this meeting. I would make a wrap up and maybe some conclusion. The first one is how we communicate each other. And to communicate, I think better when we are meeting like this every years regularly, because just from the meeting and communication, we can understand the flowchart and the system and the how to say and the guideline. It is fit or not? It is okay or not for your country? And one thing that maybe we have 10 friends or 10 networking in 10 East Asia countries, then we can have 10 kind of guideline. We must thinking about that. If we thinking about that, maybe we can share each other. Because yeah, like this one, like this like this flowchart, local, country, regional, global. Maybe in local we have they have their own system. They have own system. Maybe we must make a mapping. How in Indonesia, maybe in Palu, it is different in Lombok. Also maybe in Philippines, there is different in maybe in one province to another province because they have local condition. As one thing that we must understand and we must stressing in this meeting is that when we facing a huge of disaster waste, in a confidential condition, we must thinking about final treatment, where the location for the final treatment. But in action, we must thinking that people must do by themselves. We thinking then when the people cannot treat their waste, we are collect. But if people can treat this with their waste, we just support it. This is I say in Indonesia condition. For the confidential or secret planning, we must thinking about incineration. We must thinking about cost for incineration, cost for final disposal. We must prepare for it. But in the real action, we must understand and we must support. When the people, local government, local condition can treat their waste, their own waste, yeah, it is better that we just support for them. This is my my opinion and also my concern and also my response for this good meeting and success and good job for Hikashi-san that you already developed some kind of flow chart and tools for DWM. It is very good and nice and good job for your team in Japan.
Yeah, thank you very much. Today's session, this is a kind of input from Japan. However, maybe next time, as you say, at least one times a year, I'd like you to share your experience in each country, and maybe there might be various types of issues and various types of solutions, and then it is very important for us to share such kind of experience and challenge with us, and maybe by doing that, we can find a good, appropriate, and very practical way with disaster waste management in each country, in local level. Bonnet-san, do you have any comments about some networking in Asia and the Pacific, or even networking local government in your countries?
Yes, I fully support what Dr. Mariano shared with us, that first, this tool is good. It's very interactive and it's not boring. So it's because if it's different from just reading it straight away, you know, the text. So this is, you know, like a game. So it's very good and interesting. And then maybe the next step, as Dr. Mariano said, is to localize in each country and in different for different. Maybe it's good if it's local up to the municipal level, no? Especially those with special conditions. And then in terms of the users who will use this, I think it's mainly the local government, if it's for at the local level, because they're the ones managing both disaster and ordinary solid waste. So it should be a cooperation between the local, the people working on solid waste, and also we have the local disaster risk LDR RMC. But although on top of them is also there's a provincial level, there's a country level. So all of them, of course, from the country level, we call the national NDRRMC should be knowledgeable about this tool and the process, and even emphasizing the need to include disaster waste in planning for disasters, because that's usually neglected. So the stakeholders involved, yeah, those from the LGU, from the academe, and also the private sectors like hauling companies, NGOs, the civil society. So, and I support Dr. Mariano's suggestion. It would be really good to share with not only with Japan but with each other, and so that when a disaster strikes another neighbor, a ASEAN neighbor, all of us can somehow contribute, send a mission and see what if we can contribute whatever. So this is a good start for us to be able to be aware of each other's DWM process.
Thank you very much.
So yeah, thank you.
Maybe next year we will try to implement this in Metro Manila or somewhere. And maybe we have to think about the trainer who can use this tool to the local governments in the various sectors, like regional level, country level. We need some kind of reading person or key persons who are a kind of a trainer of capacity building for disaster waste management. Thank you very much. But anyway, this kind of network is very important. And now, Raji-san, how about your comments about networking?
Yes. Okay. Thank you once again. Yagi-san, maybe Manoj, can you maybe a bit close? Okay. The first thing I would like to suggest is, like Higashi-san mentioned the video. I think we prepared. That was the Zoom meeting, in fact, but it covered some of the virtual tool session that I think you wonderfully explained that it's very easy to do that. Once you mobilize the people, and then so I would suggest that let us make a more virtual tool. Like we would like to have a virtual tour of the sites in Philippines also, so that we can see from here. And then we would like to, for example, Indonesia also we can make the virtual tour, and then we can see. And then we're going to make one more virtual tour, let's say in few days' time. So we would like to invite you, because it's a Zoom, and it's only you have to spend your time, and then I would like to invite, and maybe I would like to request Higashi-san to coordinate on that. So, and then such a virtual tool also we can, do in future, and so that we see what you are doing, in this Indonesia, and then like what we are doing, you can see from there, and like that. So that is the first comment I'd like to make. Second thing is the research collaboration. Maybe, we can collaborate, with Higashi-san and other partners, and then let us do some research on, like, for example, this is a very good example what Higashi-san has, they showed us. This is very interesting, inspiring, and then I think this is a very, very practical also, because the point is, solid waste management is one of the least prioritized sector by the municipalities or the government. I mean, maybe it's same everywhere. Here, they focus on making the road, they focus making the water supply, they focus making, some building, and then like that. But, they would not focus in doing the solid waste management. It's not a priority of the politicians or the leaders. So the point is, this sort of tool is certainly going to help, to prioritize, focus, and manage the solid waste sector. So this is very, very wonderful. Let us do more collaboration on this line, and that way we can also engage our researchers, from the university or from other agencies. We can engage the researchers and then and the practitioners also, and so that we can let us say develop their capacity in handling. So through the research collaboration, and I think we can do a lot. Third thing I would like to point out is the JICA. This JICA, I mean the development agency from Japan, it has done a wonderful work here in Nepal. Okay, 10 years ago, right? No, I think it was 15, 17 years ago. There are very good study they made. It's called a CKV study. Okay. Still, we remember that study. Very, very comprehensive, very wonderful report they prepared, and it is one of the pioneering study for the Kathmandu Valley done by JICA. So the point is, but that the study, whatever the methodology they have used, whatever information they have collected, and then we have got a very poor institutional memory here in Nepal. Like for example, if I would like to find that report now, maybe I cannot. Okay. If I would like to take that report to the university, to discuss with the students, it's not there. So my point is, let us also collaborate with JICA, and then, like for example, whatever they are doing in other countries, maybe they are doing something in Indonesia, they are doing something in Philippines, they are doing something in other countries. So let us bring that experience and the information here, and then we discuss further. And we also put JICA on board on this mission that we can do. And if you want, I can talk to the JICA people here in Nepal. They are very, very accessible, and they would also like to do something. So if we do that, and then we learn from that, and we keep that in the institutional memory, because no one else has to do the same thing again. We did not reinvent the wheel, because if somebody has done a very good study, we can grow on that. Okay, so that is the point. So my suggestion is, let us also discuss with the JICA, and then let us share their experience also, because they have done wonderful work in the solid waste management and the environmental management sector in Nepal, and I hope the same thing applies to other countries also. So with this note, I would once again like to thank Higashi-san for initiating this wonderful opportunity, this simulation session, training session, and this is really helpful. And what I would like to request Higashi-san is, let us do country specific. Like for example, maybe I would like to invite maybe 15-20 researchers from Nepal, and then maybe Higashi-san, you can deliver that to this team, and we'll bring some data, we'll bring some ground information, so that we apply immediately, and then make some let's say do some exercise and make some output on the same day. We can do that, and maybe that also applies to maybe other countries also. This is what I would like to request you to move ahead. Thank you so much. This is all from my side.
Thank you very much, Nawaraji-san. And I'd like to summarize today's session now. And I think today's session is a kind of a regional session for disaster waste management with academia. Then, as you said, we have to conduct more and more activity in the country level, from country level to the local government level, to cherish and encourage the disaster waste management. But on the other hand, such kind of a local experience and country level experience we will share that experience in the regional level or even global level to discuss what is a practical manner of disaster waste management. Then such kind of discussion and practical manner will go into the local level as well. And through this kind of activities, maybe we can network various stakeholders. And as Nawari-san said, we have to involve the solid waste management sector as well. So many sectors, and by this kind of activities, and like activities in local level, country level, regional level, global level, we can realize this kind of network and enhancing the disaster waste management in the Asian and the regional level. Okay, it's almost past 2 hours, and I'd like to close this session. And thank you very much. And do you have any comments? If you have comments, please raise your hand. I think it's okay. So thank you very much sharing your precious time. And I think this is just beginning of the networking of academia in the Asian region. And we'd like to expand this network to the global level and the local level as well. So maybe we will collaborate. We'd like to collaborate with you, and please keep in touch with you. Thank you very much again, sharing your precious time, and then audience, thank you very much for joining this session. So, Manabe-san, is it okay to share the English version of tool to the participants?
Yes, it's okay to share it to the public.
Open to the public.
Yeah.
Okay, so as the last message, we will. This is
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I would like to say hello to. I'm sorry, I forget from the OYO cooperation. Maybe we are already meeting in Palu.
Yeah. Manabe-san visited to Palu.
Manabe-san, how are you? Do you remember that we are already met in Indonesia?
Yes.
Hello.
Related island Palu.
Yeah. Nice to meet you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is a website of Japan Society of Material Cycle and Waste Management, and we will update the URL of the training tool, and maybe you can share. Then in this website, you can refer to some guidelines, a technical reference of some experience in Asia and the Pacific, and you can learn much more about policy in Japan. Please visit this site. So thank you very much. Again, thank you. And we hope keep on collaborating with you. Thank you very much.